I'm toasted just because it's warm in there. Anyway, thanks for letting me come in. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. Shall I turn the lights back on?
Yes, please.
Make it a little hotter.
Yeah, please.
The cool off outside. But, is there any questions for Jim? I see on the figures,
I got it.
Go ahead.
I mean, like on the 2014, I mean, us that have larger property, you know, everybody was looking at gas leases and stuff, you know, and knowing the real estate market the way I do, it was a hot market for vacant land.
Right.
And then when Como came down and said no, it would crash. And those values, who wants to carry those taxes?
That's why we measure it each year. I mean, unfortunately, with measuring, you know, it's always historical. We're always looking back, and you know, we want to be able to predict going forward, and that's almost impossible to do. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, these are things. I mean, that was one of the things that drove up in 2005 that caused us to stop doing annual reappraisal, was the fact that properties that had properties. Call it what it is. Properties that were on dead-end roads, properties with privacy, were just. I mean, everybody was going up, but those properties were really going up.
Yeah.
And it, you know, now you've got two taxpayers that are getting the same services, but one is going up faster than the other. You know, and it, I mean that's the law, but it's also it's hard to swallow.
When you say prices, that means the market value where they actually were getting sold at?
Yes.
That's what you meant?
Yes. Yep.
Well, even at 2007, 2008, when you bought a piece of property like I got a couple, I'd be lucky if I get that price that I paid.
Yeah. I mean, it was.
I mean, I'd be happy if I got the price I paid in 2008.
Yeah.
And they were climbing, you know, it was the end of the 2001 run. Everybody's scared that, you know, growth's gonna come to an end.
It's funny, actually, when I started in 1996, and you say 2001, but some are actually saying 1996 was the year when it, like, I mean, not at the same levels that it did later on, but that was when it started going up and never came back until, like you say, 2007, 2008. 10, 11, 12-year run. Yes.
I can understand why the state would let towns set their own equalization rate, but as a practical matter, how do they deal with it when it's down into single digits? I mean, that's not even close.
Depends on who's in charge, you know what I mean? There was a time 30 years ago when Dad Cuomo was they were going to sue the town of Vestal in Broome County. They were going to sue a couple towns because they didn't have data and their numbers were so low. Of course, now the notorious ones for being low is Westchester County. So obviously, you know, that's going to be a little tougher for them to push them around. But yeah, I mean, it's...
I guess as long as they pay their share of the taxes somehow, I mean, you're right, you know, the list the county gets, you know, anyway, there's, I think the one is actually over 100. Right. On the tax, 101 or 102, which is never supposed to happen.
Well, one of the problems with the low equalization rate towns, Colchester is one of them, where the reason it's low is because they haven't reappraised in a long time, and there's a reason, which I'm not going to get into on the camera, why they haven't reappraised, but if you know what's in Colchester, you'll know why. So now you have, yes, Colchester is at whatever, 5%, but actually a lot of it's at 10% and some of it's at 1.5%. That's the problem, you know, that's the problem.
Because usually the lower the percentage is, roughly equates to how long it's been since they've had a town under replacement, so you just multiply the unfairness within the community.
Yep. A lot of states around us have a cycle built that says every 3 years, 5 years, 6 years, whatever, you will reappraise. They've tried to do that in New York, and we do things our own way. So, It's never happened, and
There for a while, they were paying
Right.
towns to do it. That's
Yep.
why we did it for the 4 or 5, 6.
yep, some of those years we got
We
money.
got $10,000 for the reappraisal. But then the flack we were getting from taxpayers didn't warrant the $10,000.
And that money's been dried up now for
Right.
about 10 years, I think.
But that was one of the reasons we kept doing it, was
Absolutely.
the extra funding.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Unless I missed something, that was the last of what I had though, so unless you have questions, but I'll be glad to answer questions. Again, if they get into too much detail, especially on that state sheet, probably a different setting is the time to do that.
Right, one-on-one type of deal. Yep. Are there any more questions for Jim? Well, I'm gonna bring up a question, because last month he was thrown under the bus.
Nope.
And I'd like to,
Tracks.
he's mended well, I guess, but, you know, accusations were said, and I would like some response from him. I'm sorry, I mean, I just think it's only fair. I mean, you know, there's two sides to every story. And you're here, you could, if you want, if you don't, if you'd like to let it settle, that's fine too. You know, it's up to you, Jim, but I know last month you were thrown under the bus, that's all I can call it.
That happens sometimes, and I thank Tony for the fact that I could actually see myself get thrown under the bus later in the comfort of my own home. But anyway, no, just, you know, I mean, some of the stuff, I don't like to say that other people lie, because in their own mind it may be true, but definitely some of the information was incorrect. I was talking with the grievance board this year. I've been here since '96. I know you don't want this is getting long, but I only had, that I can recall, I've only ever had 2 taxpayers that actually offered me money, and neither of them, they both had good intentions, and it wasn't about their assessment. One was I was making copies for them, and they thought as if, you know, that I should, which I declined, and somebody else did at their house, and there was never the mention of why they wanted to do it, and I declined, and that was that. But the one thing I did want to say, and I personally I felt this was pretty important. This board is Jeff is the only one that's on this board that was on when I was hired. So there's been numerous individuals. And I can tell you right now that there have been members of the board who have not agreed with some individual assessments, okay? Just like any other person in any town, whatever. I have never had any board member indicate to me that because they were a board member or gave me any inclination, none. I have never had any board member do that. And I know some board members have approached me and said, you know, would you look at my assessment and have me come look at it? And I know there's a couple other board members that weren't happy but decided not to address it. And I know that. But I have never had anybody put pressure on me from an official in this town to say, you know, because who I am, you should look at my assessment harder. That's never happened in this town, and I'm grateful for that because I know colleagues of mine who do have that happen. So I do appreciate that from all of you and prior board members. I actually go back to Bobby Millen as the town clerk.
Yeah.
Can you believe it?
Yeah.
What, am I nuts?
Yeah.
But as far as allegations go, I mean, no. I mean, it's, you know,
Okay.
some of the things that were said didn't happen, so, but there's no point in belaboring them because
Okay.
it is what it is.
Jeff, I will say one thing. 2 years ago, at the hearing, you did admit that you took money for assessment. You did say it, and I'll tell you again, I'll tell this whole board. If they want to believe it, they can. I mean, Jeff, you can stick up for your son all you want. It's just like the other day about, we had the hearing here about your $4,000 property. I'll give you a check for your property up on the hill for $4,000. You remember that, Jeff? You come out of that office and you
Yes, I
said the
did.
property we was talking about was yours?
Yep, but I know,
I said,
I know
I'll give
he's
you the
assessed.
4,000 and give you the trailer. Now, didn't I tell you that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Carl, you gotta realize that the parcel is assessed at $36,000.
No, just, don't worry about the trailer. I said, I'll give you what the land's worth, you can keep the trailer. Now, didn't I tell you that?
I don't know if you told me that
Yes, I did.
day. but you've gotta, I mean, I think
I don't
I mean,
assess,
total-
he did say it,
total
you know he did,
assessment.
and that's it, yeah.
well,
I
that's
mean, every
it.
time he wants a raise, he always come to you. He never goes to this board. All the years I've been here, he always come to you.
I would like to know what time I ever came to any board member and asked for a raise. I would love to see that
Jeff, right
documented.
back over the minutes, if you wanna go back to the minutes, Jeff always sat right there and he said, well, Jim come to me, he wants like a 2%, 5% raise.
And, you know, the employees all actually through negotiation stuff do ask board members for increases in money at
But
some
they go
time.
through a union.
Pardon?
They go through a union.
Some are covered by union and some are not.
And I will not speak for union members, but I don't know that I've ever, if any time, but that I've
I think-
gotten as much as they
Well,
have.
probably,
Tom
Carl,
Lister got
Carl,
raised.
probably I'm probably the villain in this. Cause I like to keep our employees happy. And I think I've asked Don, I think I've asked Paul, I mean, we've talked with Mark too, you know, we're given our shop is union now, which has been for 9 years or 12 years, whatever time frame, you know, but we get together with the employees and ask, are you looking for more money? Would you like more money? I mean, most employees don't say no. I mean, that's quite a fact too, but I was probably one that did most of the asking, if they were looking to get a pay increase or not. Yes, it was probably me, and that's probably where it came from. It's not that Jim asked me for more money. I've asked, we've talked with Mark, over his salary and stuff, when we do the budgeting and stuff, we usually work it out, they sometimes ask for more, and sometimes they don't, like last year or 2 years ago, we did give the board members $200 a year raise, and not one of them asked for it. I'm known to push that, because I was a board member for 16, 17 years. We are one of the lowest paid towns in the county, at least officials. I mean, our employees are doing well in the county. They're not number 1, but they're not number 19 either. But I'm just saying, I feel we've got to pay for the help we have.
Oh, yeah, I remember one year with Mark right there, he asked for a raise. If I remember right, you said, Mark, can't you work another year for free? Mark, what did I speak of? I said, the man's a working superintendent, you should give him $1,000. You only asked for $1,500. Remember that, Mark? And I said, the man's worth the $1,000. If he ain't worth the 15, give him $1,000. You guys weren't gonna give him anything. Mark remembers that.
Okay, well, Mark and I have never always agreed, but we
I
really
mean, you
do.
can't get a better superintendent than Mark.
Did I say he didn't do his job, Carl?
No, you didn't.
Okay,
But
I
I
guess
mean,
that's the bottom line.
okay, but how come Jim had to leave town? Can you tell us that?
Pardon?
I could tell you, I'm guessing that most people here don't care, other than you.
How you know they don't care?
Well, probably because they don't care about half of what I just went over already, okay?
Don't be around. Just don't say.
Beat around what bush, Carl?
Why did you have to leave town?
I did not have to leave the town of Worcester.
I don't know about that.
No, so where did you get your information?
Town supervisor.
I mean,
They were so bad to get rid of you.
Who's the town supervisor in Worcester right now?
Oh, shit. What's his name there?
No, that's what I'm asking you, what's his name?
I don't know what his name is right now, but I talked.
So when did you talk to him?
Don't matter when. Why did
No,
you
it
have to
does
leave?
matter, because
No.
you don't even know who the supervisor is in the town of Worcester.
Why did you
because
have to
this-
leave?
The town of Worcester supervisor right now would tell you to your face
I
that
thought-
when his current assessor leaves, who is the county director in Delaware County, who you did get your information from,
No.
that when his term
You're a
is
liar
up,
right there, Jim. I call you a liar right now.
good for you. When his term is up, that supervisor, if he has 2 more votes on that board, that man will be gone. So that's where you got your information from.
Oh.
The man that's the supervisor in the town of Worcester, I'll help you out because you seem to be a little lax on the details, okay? The supervisor from the town of Worcester is Don Lindbergh. I think you know who that is.
Down there, yes, his name,
Mhm.
yes.
There you go. Okay. He was actually the assessor when I was hired there. and had been elected as the supervisor. And he told the existing supervisor, Larry Antoman, who was retiring, hire this guy. He also did as Jeff did and gave me raises, which I never asked for.
If you never asked,
You
why did
sh-
you give him one?
You would have to ask the supervisor that you apparently don't know. I don't know, Carl.
You said Jeff gave you a raise, you darn dope, you just said that.
You know, you throw names around a
I
lot.
don't care, I tell you what, you're no damn good, I'm telling you right
I'm
now,
no
this
damn
town
good.
should get rid of you. Do you own any land in Delaware
Okay.
County?
Carl?
No.
Carl, would you like to be sued for defamation of
Sure,
character?
then go ahead.
Enough.
Just like the other guy, just like the other guy on the board,
You're
his name was in the
giving him-
paper, he couldn't even afford his taxes.
He-
You
you're
pay your
giving
taxes every year?
him Grounds to sue for defamation of character.
I don't
Okay.
care, we'll go.
Okay. This discussion should be done. And thank you for all the input, but it's enough. Okay. Now we'll go, let Jim do his, let Jim pick up his paperwork, and we'll go to Mark, if you got
Yeah, don't have a lot.